There is only one perfect solution, but there are clues that will try to trick our team.
Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb and welcome to the Iron Lung. This is the way the module looks. It looks like a bit of a rusty module in a way, and it's got a series of different coordinates that we need to pay attention to. In this case, X, Y will be big here on the right side. It will always start off at 500, 500, and this is going to essentially be our starting point within this grid. Since the area is going to be 1000 by 1000, let's get into what this module wants us to do here. So, let's go over the ground rules of this module. Welcome. Due to some unfortunate circumstances that occurred 3 days ago, we've sent you a training module to help you learn how to navigate inside one of our submarines. There are 5 buttons. The buttons on the bottom left are for turning. In this case, this will affect the angle of which this guy is pointing at, as well as the directions of which the up and down will go to. So, right turns you clockwise, and left turns you the other way counterclockwise. And on the bottom right, pressing the upper button will steer you forward, and the lower button will send you backward. And to finish your training, you must press the submit button at the top location of the angle provided. So, this little top left up here is going to be our submission location that we need to essentially submit at. We need to figure out how we can set these X and Y to be that specific position, and the A represents the angle of which we have to be pointing at in order to submit it there. So, note, failing to be in correct position when submitting will strike you, and note we only enforce this to help you understand what is and isn't valid when on a real mission. You may freely take pictures when that time comes. And the way that the submission works is actually kind of very nice, and it makes it definitely a little bit easier to do. Your submission must be within 2 units of the given position and 10 degrees of the given angle. Any submission within that range will be passable. So essentially, you are given a little bit of freedom. It should not be necessarily in the exact position because it does include decimals in the actual X and Y when you're going to be navigating around. And it doesn't include it up in the top here, so this is where it gives you a little bit of freedom of submission. But as long as you get in the general area of 878 and 101 in this case, and the general angle of 98, 97, in this case 10 degrees of the given angle, that will be good to go. So now, your starting position will be in the direct center of the overall area you are allowed to navigate. And since this area is 1000 by 1000, this means you will start at the position 500, 500. So in this case, the X and Y represents the left and right, and Yankee represents the up and down. So this left and right, Yankee up and down. So now that we understand how that works, now we need to get into the actual part of this module. We have multiple maps that will be used for this training as well. You can see this on the 3rd page of the manual. And note that I do have the interactive present here, but these are the giant grids that we are looking at here. And what this represents here is this represents where we are currently in the maze. And we need to figure out, hey, where are we right now? And the way that we know where we are right now is it's going to be represented by this little green dot that represents our center, essentially, and this represents where we start. Now, what we need to do is we need to figure out which map we are currently looking at, and this is going to be done by this specific thing. The white represents the walls, essentially, and the black represents the areas where we can safely travel. That's going to be what we're looking at. So, note that this area is not completely open, the walls are scattered around, and if you ever touch one of these, or attempt to leave the navigation area, you will strike, and your position will be reset to 500, 500. Note that you do not want to do this, as this module does take a long time to actually navigate around. So, let's take a look. So you can see these on the 3rd page, but you will not be told directly which one is in use. For this reason, a wall has been placed in each one of them, close to your starting point and in a specific direction unique to its map. So essentially, what's going to happen here is if you haven't seen already, there is this white line that represents a specific wall, and in this case, it's in each direction from the starting point: up, left, right, down. These are essentially going to be how we look at things. And essentially what we want to do is we want to try and figure out which direction the wall is occurring in, because this does not represent our starting position. This just represents a wall to essentially help us figure out exactly where we are in which maze. And we're going to want to use this by moving around at the beginning here and trying to figure out which maze that we're in. So let's take a look. So for this reason, a wall has been placed, obviously, close to a starting point. It specifically is going to help us with the map. However, as you cannot directly see this directly, you will need to take advantage of the proximity sensors. This is where we get into the way that you can determine the actual maze here. These will activate when you are within 20 units of a wall and blink faster the closer you are. You will see this in just a moment. And remember, this is training. You will likely be completely alone when you are sent down. Luckily, you won't need to figure out which map is correct, as the right one will be provided. Good luck. And these maps will never change or switch around during training. Some parts of the map may be slightly inaccurate, so trust your proximity sensors more. Keep that in mind. So, these maps are actually quite nice. They are quite large, quite larger than they look. So I would not worry about going around too fast in a specific maze, as this module does take a long time to navigate around. The first bit is obviously just figuring out which maze you are in, or which map you're looking at. And secondly, you just need to get to the position that you're at. Overall, it's not that very hard to crash into a wall. The sensors do give a warning in advance. Unless you're an idiot and you happen to immediately just be like Leroy Jenkins or something like that, which is a super old meme. If you happen to crash into a wall, which is very unlikely that you will, then you will strike and it will be reset. So just make sure that you be careful with this. So now let's get into the actual module. So what I want to do is I want to try and go forward and backward, and I want to see which gives us a wall pretty quickly, because this is within, I believe, 20 units. I believe it's 30 units away. So 500, 500 is where we begin at. Let me move this one to the left here, or one up rather. So this is the center point, and essentially what we want to do is we want to try and figure out at what point does the wall sensor activate, and we're going to need to figure this out. If it doesn't activate within like the first 20 to 30 units that you move based off of either X or Y, then it likely isn't that maze. So let's take a look. Let's try and move forward. And in this case, as you can see, immediately. Okay, so this means that we're in the first maze, because of the fact that if we take a look here, and note that the position that we're hovering over is going to be represented by this bottom X and Y. The one that you click at, in this case, will be represented by the red position here down on the bottom right. But essentially what happens here is that we started immediately going up. We started going forward. In this case, that affected the Y. And what happened was that when we got to around 510, a little bit after 510, when we got within 20 units of the wall here, this top sensor activated here. And if we were to move back, for example, if we were to go immediately past 510, take a look here, it immediately stops. So this means that we are going to be in this first map right here. So now we are in this little system, and now what we need to do is we now need to figure out where our point is that we need to get to. So it's going to be x equals 878. So we're going to be looking at something that's very far off to the right, and y101 we're going to look at something that's very far down, because it's below 500, which means we're going down, and it's going to be greater than 500 on the x value, which means we're going to the right. So let's take a look and let's see what we can do here. So 878 and 101. This is going to be very far down over here. 878. It's going to be right around here. That is where we're going to be trying to go here. And now essentially what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to go off to the right here and try and get into this sort of open space here and then immediately go straight down. This is going to be quite an easy one to do. Obviously, with some other cases, it can be a little bit nasty, but this one actually gives me a nice open one. So let's get right into it. So we're going to use the highlights that we're going to have, which is going to be represented by the black text over down here, and this is going to help us navigate through the maze, and this is going to help us where we currently are. So now what we want to do is we want to use the angle to help us turn left and right here. So let's go right, because we're going to be going a sharp right over to here. We need to go pretty quickly to the right. So let's do that. Okay, so we do get intact with the wall again, because we are still going to be increasing our Y with this, but we are going to be increasing our X a little bit faster this time around. So we're currently at 508. We need to get up to a 550 before we get to 510, which is roughly where we should not be. So we need to go immediately to the right. Basically, let's set it to 90. 89 will do. Get it up to like 550. We probably will get a right or a down wall to us. And now, as you can see what we just did, we're at 540, and we're at 540, and the wall has disappeared from us now. The wall is no longer a problem in the up direction, so therefore we don't have to worry about that wall anymore. So now, we're currently at 540. Let's go maybe up to the right a little bit. Let's go up right a tad bit. We might have these sensors activate for this little wall right here at 580 and 560. But let's continue onward anyways. Okay, let's keep going. We're probably going to run into the case where this is going to be activating too, considering that we're only going to be at 640, and we'll just keep going anyways until the wall gives us a signal. Should be 620? Yes, indeed. So now we're at 621 right now, so we're currently at roughly around here, and the wall to our right has activated, so this means that we're going to be in contact with this wall at some point, which means we're going to want to shoot up. We're going to want to make sure that we avoid this because of the fact that this is going to cause problems for us. So we need to shoot up roughly to where Yankee is a 570 down at the bottom, as you can see. So that's where we're going to want to shoot up. Up. 570. That'll do it for us. And you'll see the wall disappear. That's perfect. And now we're at 625. We're going to be right around here. Right here. So now we can just pretty much turn right for us. And therefore, we can now move forward. Let's go forward here. And we're going to be doing this for a long time. Yep, wall comes down to us. We're not going to be worrying about this wall. It's disappearing, as you can see. It blinks a lot slower when you get away from it. It was blinking a little bit faster at the beginning because we were definitely a bit close to it. As you can see, it is blinking significantly faster. We're currently at 699 and 582 for the X value. I'm going to zoom out a little bit for the sake of this too. Now 699, basically 700. And we're at 582, so a little bit lower. And as you can see, we are a little bit close to the wall, but overall this is not going to cause us any problems. So let's continue on. And as you can see, it disappears immediately. Another case with the wall. We're doing good so far. And what we want to kind of do is we kind of want to get out into the open here. We're not going to have any walls for a long time. And what's a good point to make us go down? So if we were to go down, for example, let's get to 850, and y is equal to 610. And then we can immediately just do basically a full 180 for degrees, and then just shoot straight down, because that's going to be quite nice for us. So let's do that. So let's get to there. Let's keep going right a little bit more. 180. A little bit more on the Yankee side. Roughly right about there, and now we can pretty much just shoot straight down. So let's set it to 180. Don't think we should come into any close contact with walls. Now let's just go straight down. So this is the way the module works. It's fairly simple to actually do. It's fairly simple to understand. However, as you can see, this module definitely takes a long time. And note that I'm holding down the button for this, so that you can absolutely hold it down without any problems. But this module itself does indeed take a while to do, especially with navigating these mazes, especially with some of the cases where it is a little bit of a thinner spot to go through. In this case, we happen to have a nice wide position that we're able to go through here, and it's not that bad to do. So just bear that in mind if you happen to go down to like that bottom little section right here, and we happen to run into a case where there's a wall on the left of us. 302. So we're 880. We're at 302. Let's maybe go off to the left a little bit, just for the sake of making sure that we don't hit to any walls. So let's go left a little bit. It is a little bit closer than I want it to be. And it's fine. We can come back around just as long as we get down to 101 safely. That's fine. It's not going to cause us any problems. And we're very close to it. Now let's probably start going right a little bit, because we're at Yankee 145, and we're getting close to the 900 bit. So let's try and let's keep going for right now. Let's now turn left a little bit. Okay, so now we have currently reached, oh, that's not what I meant to do. So now we've currently reached 101 for the Yankee bit. Now what we want to do is we want to readjust ourselves. We're currently at 101. Now what we want to do is we want to readjust ourselves to 878, which is just meaning that we're going to have to go a bit to the left here. So let's set it to 270. Right. Any clicks help us here? Roughly speaking. Okay, let's just get to 878 here. Okay, and now, with these both at 878 and 101, which represents our submission here, that's correct. Now what we need to do is we need to set the angle to 98. So let's go counterclockwise over to 98. this case, let's set ourselves up. And remember, the angle can be a bit wider, but you want the positions to be much more exact because it's 2 within a given position, which in this case is true, and 10 degrees of a given angle. So in this case, 98 between 108 and 78 would be acceptable. So now we're going to hit the top button to submit. And just like that is a solved module. It's a fairly simple module to understand, but it definitely takes a while to get to the position that you're at. And honestly, I don't mind it. It's quite cool to do. It definitely is not a solo by any means necessary, but using the interactive to essentially be able to hover over specific points is pretty nice. It definitely helps you figure out where you're at, and it definitely helps you figure out where you're going to be going next. So let's take a look at one more example here, and let's see if we can maybe get a different maze too. That would be quite nice. But it always starts in the default position as the red, in this case, the center. And it will be marked green in the other points, as you can see on the other maps here. It's just because it's going to be trying to line up the position of which you select, I believe. So like if you, for example, click here, as you can see in other mazes, it will go to green in that exact same position. In some cases, it might be a wall. In many cases, it actually will be a wall. But let's set it back to our middle position here. Let's do 480, 490. Okay, and let's take a look at one final example. But it essentially is just navigating around in a specific map and getting to the point of which you need to get to. And generally speaking, there is only one path in many cases. You obviously can go through a series of different paths. For example, if you had to go up to the top here, you could obviously go up to the left, left, and then up here. Or you can go right up, for example. Though do note is that there are obviously some riskier paths to take. There are obviously some longer paths to take, as there are shorter too. So now, let's do the exact same thing we did before. I'd like to go up and then down, and then we rotate either right or left, and then go up and then down there. So let's figure this out. Okay, it is not this maze. It is not the first one. Let's go back. Is it perhaps back from us? No, it does not appear to be so. So now let's set ourselves back to 500, 500, roughly speaking, and let's see if we can figure out which maze we're in. It's got to be left or right. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Now let's set ourselves to, let's do 200, let's do 270. Roughly speaking. Okay, doesn't appear to be this one. And now let's go back. And with this in mind, this should be the one on our right then. Maybe like 510? 520? Yes, okay. So the wall is currently to the right of us because remember we went forward to the left here, and if we go backward, that's going to be going into the right here. So we're currently looking at this one. It did indeed activate after 520, which does indeed make sense according to the maze. And now what we need to do is we now need to get to X64 Yankee 640. So X64, which means we're probably going to be going all the way over here. Yes, indeed. I can already see it. 64, which means we're actually going to be getting close to a wall, I think. X64... 64, 640. That's going to be our destination. So there is only one entryway that we can actually get into here, and that's going to be through this little crevice right here. This one actually shouldn't be that bad either. So now what we're going to want to do is we're actually going to want to stay on the left side here because we're actually going to be going up to the left here. So let's reposition ourselves up to the left here, and let's get this thing going. And we're going to be definitely doing this for a little while. I will figure out where exactly we are going in just a moment. But it's definitely cases like these where you have to go through these little thin paths. They can be a little bit scary sometimes. So don't worry about it. You have your sensors to obviously help you. Just make sure you take your time with this and you will be fine. So let's go up to like roughly 370, 580. We're getting close to that. So let's go more up perhaps, or let's go more left rather. 370, 580 is what we're looking for. We will get a sensor probably momentarily. Okay, so we're at 370 currently right now, and we're at 580. So now we pretty much want to go straight left, and we're gonna get a sensor most likely. Yep, indeed we do, which means we're very close to this wall, but we're not going to be having any direct contact because it is down from us. So let's continue on. Until we get the case where a wall is on the left side here. Here we go. Yes. So now we're currently at 340. Let's go straight down. So we're currently at 340. Yankee is at 590. 340, 580. Yep, this is where we're at. So now we want to go straight down. This should not cause us any problems, but obviously make sure we pay attention to our sensors here. Got a wall that's coming down to us. That makes sense. Yep, got a lot going for us. Yes, as you can see. We're currently at 340. That wall, that is blinking very closely, so let's be careful here. So we're currently at 340. And we're at 558. Ooh, boy, that's really close. Yeah, let's straighten ourselves out here. Let's go more left. Maybe a bit up to the left here, just to make sure we're playing it a bit safer too. Oh. Yeah, this is exactly what I mean by this could be very tricky here. So let's be careful here. So we're 322. And we're 560. Yeah, we were just about to hit that wall. Oh. Let's go down. We're at 320 right now, so 320 for X. We want to get down to about 550, and then we can immediately shoot left. Let's go a bit below 550, and then let's immediately shoot left. Let's go down left, just to make sure. Okay, and now we're out of that woods. As you can see, that can be a bit nasty sometimes to go through, but now we are pretty much clean. We are pretty much clean to go through here. Let's keep on going. We're very close to our destination. We're now in the home stretch. Let's check exactly where we're at right now. We are currently at X200, Y542. Okay, that's looking pretty good. That angle is pretty nice too, but we are definitely going to want to go up a bit here in just a moment. So let's get over to perhaps X is 160, Y is 550, perhaps? 60Y, 550, 160. Yep, perfect. And now let's immediately shoot up, like this. This should be pretty much good to go for the most part. Let's get up there and let's solve this module. Okay, so we're going to be approaching 640 before the X value. So 640 is now set. We're currently at 104 and we're at 640. We should be able to immediately just go straight left, and this should be good for us. Let's go set it to 270. Roughly speaking, let's get it a little bit closer. Perfect. And now let's immediately shoot for 64. Okay, and we're there. X is equal to 64, Yankee is equal to 640, and now we need to set our angle to 217, which is going to be a bit counterclockwise. So 217, let's set it up. There we go. And just like that is a solved module. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.